Okay, so let's get going. So I wanted to start tonight with just a real quick, just real-time demo. So I haven't prepared something, but I wanted you guys to give me a topic. And I know last time several groups seemed to have problems finding data on climate change in California, which was a little surprising. So I wanted to just sort of run through a couple of the so if I was in your shoes and someone said, hey, go find some data on blah, 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 right? That's sort of the kind of approach that I would use to maybe, if you guys haven't thought of this or haven't tried that or whatever. And so there we go. So I just want to do a little quick demo. And what should we look for? What should I hunt for? What should we hunt for? What? Oh, yeah. No, but give me a specific topic, though, is what I'm saying. Birds?
Yeah, that's too easy.
Too easy. Okay. Okay. What do you guys want to search for? It doesn't matter to me.
National park.
That's too easy too.
State parks.
Okay, but so protected areas but what's the climate change thing?
Tidewater gobies.
Tidewater gobies. Okay. I was thinking more of the climate change theme or issue.
National parks reduce climate change.
Okay, Professor Speeds, do you have a suggestion for something I could look on climate change, a topic, a data set?
Let's do El Nino, the impacts of El Ninos and species distribution.
Okay, so good. So the first thing is, so this gets to the first step, right? Which is we need to sort of pick, when we go to look for something, we need to sort of think about the terms we're going to look for, right? So totally get it. You guys are interested in birds or state parks or whatever the thing is, right? But let's think about how we're phrasing it, which is going to be a key thing. The next thing, I'm not going to do it here because this is a quick demo, but this is absolutely what I would do is if I was doing this for real, I would have my notebook next to me. My notebook or an Excel spreadsheet next to me. And I'm going to write in there what the terms I typed in were, exactly word for word. In fact, what I typically do when I'm doing this for my own stuff is I start in that Excel document. Well, let's just do that. Let's just do that. So I'll start in this Excel document. It's not that. Okay, there you go. Okay, so we're gonna call this something like my ENSO climate change research. Okay, and so I'm gonna have date. I'm gonna have where, and I'm gonna have search term. Cool. So the date is going to be today's date. Where is going to be the particular database or the particular website or whatever the tool that I'm using, okay? And then the search term. So we said, you guys, what did we say? El Nino's impact on what?
Species distribution.
On species, I can't spell. S-P-E-C, species distribution in California. So something like that, right? So a little bit of this is from experience. So now you've all done at least one paper on climate change. So I think you've all discovered a little bit of I can't type that word in, or so some terminology or some phraseology will be super broad, and that's not super helpful. And some of it will be super specific, and that's not super helpful. So we kind of want to start in a bit of a middle zone, right? We don't want to be so hyper that we probably aren't going to see much, but at the same time, we don't want to say climate change because that's going to be way too broad, right? So we'll start with this and see what happens, right? So I've typed this out, and I'm going to start looking for this in So the first place I would look. So where's the first place you guys started hunting when you were hunting for your data sets? William?
One search library with free room.
Okay, good. So library. How about other folks? Where's the place you started?
Government website.
Okay, so go to a particular government agency or something and look there. Good. Where else? Where'd you guys start? Same.
Google.
Just straight up Google. Okay, so straight up Google. Anybody? So we have government websites. We have just regular Googling. We have going to the library. Other thoughts? Okay, good. Oh, so maybe an AI search tool. So I put that sort of in a similar bin to the Google, but sort of like a general thing. And so ChatGPT is an interesting. So ChatGPT is more like the Google, right? So ChatGPT is not tuned for climate change or science research. So that's why I put it more in the Google bin.
Consensus.
Okay, or some of the newer evolving AI tools that are a bit constrained and have a bit of domain restriction to only get, say peer-reviewed stuff or whatever. Okay, good.
Do they want to use Google Scholar?
So Google Scholar is kind of more like the consensus in the sense that it's a bit more narrowed. So, you know, the sideboards are in there, so we're not going to get every single blog post that someone does, but scholarship based on that. Okay, cool. So those are all great places to start. So I'm going to start with the library. So I'm first going to go into our website, log in, and then I'm going to go to the library, and go to databases. And if you guys, so there's many different ones we can use. Our library pays for several, although there are many more than we have in our library. There are hundreds of databases you could actually access. Some of them are a database of a single journal or a narrow group of journals, and others are a larger grab bag, a larger, more inclusive of many, dozens or hundreds or more journals. So let's say I want to do Academic Search Premier. Let's just say that. So again, I've logged in. So as the general public, you can't do this because we have to pay for these resources. That's why you have to first log on. So that assures that it's only our community that's getting into it. Okay, so then I'm going to say, okay, so I got this. So I'm going to jump back over here. I'm going to say, okay, I started on Academic, Search Premier from CSUCI library. Okay, cool. So I can come up here. I'm going to just grab my search term, jump back over here, put that unit here. I'm going to say, okay, whatever it's doing. Let's just do that. No results. So that's telling me that my specific terminology is too specific, right? So if I take everything off except for El Nino, it's going to give me a ton of stuff, right? Because El Nino is a very broad topic, a very general topic. So this found 23,000, almost 24,000 references in this one database, right? Okay, so then we could say maybe El Nino, and we can say distribution. We could try something like El Nino in California. So now I've narrowed my search down. Now I went from 24,000 to 69. So that's still a lot, but that's more digestible. That's a 4 or 5 minute flick through the search results to sort of see what the topics are. Okay, so that's something that I'd say that's a good level of getting something back, right? So it's not just one or two things, but it's not hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So this is definitely a me searchable thing, right? Now in this case, this is about research on El Nino. So our goal was to look for, or one of your goals, I mean, obviously this would help us if we're working on our poster, and this maybe is a topic we want to look at, so that's cool. But from the specific goal of trying to find data sets, I don't know if that's helpful or not. So what I need to do is I need to click on this dude, and I go through and read it and skim it, right? So since we're talking about data sets, so one, I'm going to read the title. Does it make sense to my topic? If not, I'm going to skip on. Let's say, maybe it has something to do. Maybe there is species stuff in here. So I'm going to go, okay. And then I'm going to skim the abstract next. That's going to give me the summary of the study. So I'm going to read this, and it's going to be after El Nino 2020, national. Okay, so they're measuring. So this is about looking at sea surface temperature. And this is about chlorophyll, which is a marker of productivity. Okay, have some maps, blah, 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 chlorophyll. Okay, so this looks like there's no animals in here, right? So I'm going to say, this is probably not going to help me for my specific data set hunt, right? But let's imagine this one did have something about, it referenced a fish or it referenced a something. I'd be like, oh, maybe there is something here. Next thing I would do is jump to the methods section. So I'm going to jump down to the methods section. Where did I pass it? Let's see. Oh, so this is a review paper. Okay, that's why. Okay, let's find a different example.
Next one looks interesting.
This one? Vital Blighting? Okay, let's check that guy out. So again, I'm gonna skim the title, and as Brenton was saying, oh yeah, maybe that one's a better one to start with. Okay, so skim the title, cool. Now let's skim the abstract. So okay, so let's see. This is about phytoplankton, Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of California and Mexico. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's talking about a dinoflagellate and a diatom. Okay, so this is about a couple organisms. Okay, maybe there's gonna be something about where they're distributed. Okay, so now that I did that. And this is how I do it in real time, right? So I'm not going to read the whole abstract. I'm skimming the title. Well, I'm reading the title, but I'm skimming the abstract. Does it look like it might be of interest? Boom. Okay, yes? All right, boom. Now I'm going to jump down to the another one. Okay, great. So this is also, I guess, a review paper, I guess. So, okay, so, it's a short communication, that's why. Okay, so again, I would jump to the methods, because if they did have a data set or they created a data set, they're going to reference it there. They're going to either talk about how they collected data, in which case it was a data set, or they're going to say, this is the data set I was mining to look for changes in X, Y, or Z or something. Cool? Okay, now, if I'm doing these searches in this in one of our library systems, I can just save all those references, right? Let me save this. Boom, I'm going to save that. I could choose to export it right then, but I would not do that. I'm just going to click back out and click I want to save this reference, and then go look at the next one and the next one. And then when I'm done with that session, I'm going to export all the references at once. Does that make sense? So that's one place to hunt. Okay, other places to start or that you can start hunting are so here's one. You guys said ChatGPT. I wouldn't use ChatGPT. I would probably use something that's a bit more tuned for something. So either Consensus, like Ava was saying, or Perplexity, which will actually show you the sources. ChatGPT doesn't show you the sources by default. So you could try Perplexity, or let's use Consensus, which is again an even more focused version than Perplexity. Again, Consensus is free. There's more functionality if you pay for the more fancy stuff, but you can use the basic stuff for free. Okay, and
ChatGPT, now that you have it, like Barry was saying, it's not going to show you the references or the sources. Just if you say, give you like references for this stuff. But if you give it context, if you say, I want an open source or data set that's visible, please provide references and sources for that data set, it'll show it to you. But you have to request it. You have to request the details that you want. It usually gives you like a little hyperlink to it.
Yep, totally. So yeah, so if you guys missed that email over break, you all do have free access to ChatGPT. The only thing that you have to decide is if you already have a ChatGPT account, you just need to decide if you want to link that and now have that be officially with school paid for, or you want to keep your thing private and do an instance of, just like your CSUCI one. So that's an individual decision. But yeah, so basically you can log on and have access to the pro version. So the pro version gives us more functionality than the free basic one. Cool. Okay, good. So I changed my terms here. I'm gonna try Consensus. And I'm gonna go back to my original term here in Consensus. So I'm gonna say something like has El Nino, because Consensus I can actually ask questions, which is a little bit different than some of these other ones. But impacted species distributions in California. And so this is a hypothesis or this is a question that I've asked it. It's going to think. And it says, yes, 89% of the sources I found say that it is impacting these things. Okay. So now, how do you, so these are a type of shrimp kind of thing. These are barnacles, zooplankton, all these different things, right? So now I can start to go to these references. And so let's pick one. Which one do you guys want to pick?
Mesopelagic fish.
Of course, the fishy guy wants that. Okay, so we'll pick that. So here's number 7. So this is that guy. If I click this, so here's the abstract for the stuff. Let's skim it again. Let's read the title. Okay, so it's the fish larvae assemblages during El Nino from 97 to 2001 in the southern part of the California Current, which is the current that runs alongside offshore of our state. Okay, so yeah, that seems like maybe that is relevant to me. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to jump to the abstract. Okay, we're just going to skim the abstract, right? Not going to read it, skim it. Okay, so larval fish. Okay, that sounds good. California. I guess we're doing some kind of like, I don't know, Red Hot Chili Pepper song or something. Okay, so so physical, chemical, biological characters. Ooh, that sounds good because that's maybe going to help us relate the species distribution to the physical goings on of stuff. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this study examines these fish larval distribution and abundance pattern. Oh, that sounds perfect. These guys have data on how this type of organism, or how they were in one year, how they were in another year, how they were in another year. So that sounds great. Okay, so this seems to be like a paper I want to look more. Okay, again, I can either drill into this or I can just save this and go, okay, I'm going to go back and look into this more, right? Okay, and then, what are the other ones I wanted to show you guys? I think, okay, right. So then we can just search. Why is this website weird? Okay, I don't know, it's being weird for something. Okay, but so then I can pick some maybe things I know a little bit more about, and yeah, so this page isn't working, so whatever, we'll screw that. We'll return to that one, but we can go to some other place. So in this case, all I searched was for climate change data, and yeah, I just searched for this one, was just climate change data. So this one is from an European Union site. So this is an example of a website that's aggregating other data sets. So this is a place where people have pulled stuff together. Now some of this will be super relevant, some of it will be totally irrelevant, right? Some of it's not going to be in the format you want, not the topic you want, but it's going to pull stuff together. So here I can go down here. I can use the search tools, and we can look for reference data sources and stuff like that. And so I can go in here and I can, okay, everybody wants to track me. Okay, whatever. So I could say, so what was our topic? El Nino species distribution. So this is European Union, so they might not have anything, but let's try. So it looks like no. But what if we just like El Nino species distribution? Also nothing. What if we looked at El Nino? Do they even have any El Nino stuff in here? Maybe there's no El Nino stuff in here. So yeah, so it looks like these guys don't have any, or at least nothing is tagged with El Nino, which probably makes sense because it's European Union, right? And El Nino is a Pacific Basin phenomenon. Okay, so I try with that one. That one didn't seem to help me out. Okay, cool. Let's try another one. This one is one that's more closer to home. This is a U.S. Federal government one. Same kind of thing though, right? This is a clearinghouse or an aggregation of other data sets, right? So again, to find this, I didn't type my specific search in. I just said climate change data. I think I said climate change data NOAA, I think is what I typed in. That's all I typed to find this. And there are many possible things, right? So, but this is going to be along the same lines as the stuff before. So one, the search tool will help us find information. The mapping tools will help us find explicitly, spatially explicit data. And then the data tools will help us find, could be map data, but other stuff as well. Cool? So every single time I do this though, this is the important part. Every single time I do this, I'm going back here. And I'm typing in my NOAA data or climate change data portal, right? and I'm going to type in these things. So I'm keeping track. This is the key thing. I'm not randomly barfing around the internet. I'm not randomly typing crap into my stuff. I'm keeping track. Because as we saw, typing in El Nino gave us one set of results. When we typed in El Nino impact species distribution in California, it didn't give us anything, right? So I want to keep track of that. And once I figure out the right phrasing of my search term, El Nino invertebrates, El Nino invertebrates northern limit, or whatever it ends up being after, this is an iterative process. This is trial and error. It's going back and forth. Nope, that was too broad. Okay, next one, too narrow. And so it's going back and forth. Once I find a sweet spot, now I can take that search term and put it into all the different journal databases. I can put it into this one on the government site, and this one on the consensus, and this one in the ChatGPT portal, and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? So that's the approach. If you just randomly start typing stuff in and like click and go for it, you're going to lose track. I've done it before. I lose track. You've done it before. You lose track. And then you get frustrated. And then you start saying, there's no data. There's no data. Oh, I can't find it. It's too hard. No, it's there. We just need to have a structured process to look. And that structured process is both about finding the data, but it's also about thinking of ways that we go about approaching the finding of the data, right? So it's not just the data product, it's also how do I hunt? How do I look? Questions?
So would it help to have an additional column to remind us, like, I got 2 hits, I got 0?
Totally. Yep, that's a great idea. So if I'm doing the first stage where I'm going really deep, 24,000 hits on this one, 69 hits on this one, 13 hits on that one, 4 on this one, 0 on this one. Totally. The point is here now, as I'm doing my literature search, the phone rang, or some crisis, somebody said the thing that Dr. A didn't send an email for this thing. Can you please send an email so we can get our COAST money, right? That's classic me. And I go and I do that, and I go send the email so you guys get your COAST money and everything. Okay, cool. And then I'm like, wait, where was I? Or the rabbit jumps out of the cage and I have to run and go get the rabbit, or Professor Spees' cat eats another earplug and then he has to run to the vet and everything. And then by the time we come back, 5 earplugs. So by the time I come back, I'm like, where the heck was I, right? But this, I have my breadcrumbs and I can check. Or if I just get tired, if I've been doing this for half an hour, I'm like, dude, I need a break, right? I can just pause and I can come back, and I know this is my roadmap, this is my breadcrumbs as to where I went. And it also helps me know where I can look next. And so this obviously is really helpful when we're looking for data sets, but it's the same thing when we're looking for references or other information sources. Cool? So that's how Professor Spees and I go about hunting for data sets. So it's not just that we're old professor types that have done this a bunch of times, it's that this is how we rigorously approach hunting for references. 1, it just makes more sense, but 2, this assures that nothing gets through the cracks. So if I've tried all my possible searches on the consensus tool, then I know I can check it off. But if I only tried 1 or 2 things, there might be some fantastic, important golden nuggets there. But because I thought I searched there and I was frustrated and I moved to the next thing, I missed some stuff. So this is also about being thorough when we're using these tools. And lastly, I'll just say, I really like what we were talking about here. I like having a diverse set of sources. I would never just use Google. I would never just use one database, right? Everything has a strength, everything has a weakness. And nothing is holistic. There's no such thing that has everything under the sun that's ever been, even if it says climate change data portal, that does not have all the climate change data, right? It might have a good amount, but it's not gonna have everything. So being thorough is also, and diverse in terms of our sources, that's gonna really help us find that stuff that we need. Cool? All right.
That component that Dr. A was saying about the skimming is really important. So as you're gonna find that reference or that data set that's just like, yeah, this is the one, this is it. Clearly, once you choose that or a few references, you're gonna read those in detail, right? You're gonna really figure out what they're doing and all that. But when you're doing the skimming, it kind of gets back to what I was talking to you about when you're doing like the proofreading of your document, your thesis, how if you read the first sentence of each paragraph, it should make sense. Even in the abstract, if you're just reading the first couple words of each sentence, you should get the gist of what they're talking about. So you're in this exercise, you're looking for keywords and terminology, right, for your search. So if you read 5 abstracts, 10 abstracts, 20 abstracts, you're also going to get an understanding of what terms these papers are using, right? So then you can start adjusting. It's like, oh, I see, the word temperature a lot in these days. Maybe I'm going to add temperature, right? Or oscillation seems to be really common, right? I'm going to add that because I'm reading that term a lot. But it shouldn't take you more than 30 seconds, right? You're really just boom, boom, boom. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll skip down to the methods. But then when you're like, okay, this is my use of pelagic larvae one. I think this is it. That's when you start reading it in a little bit more detail, right? Does this have all the components that I need? So it is kind of a skill set because we don't really read that way, but it does help with this process.
And also, I mean, as I was running through, I was like, oh, that's like a shrimp kind of thing. Maybe you guys don't know what a euphousate is, right? Maybe you're not familiar with that term. That's cool. I use all the time a dictionary app. I see a term like, what the heck's that? I don't know what that is. Grab that, throw it in my dictionary app, boom, oh, it's just kind of shrimp. Okay, cool, perfect. Okay, great, now I know what that is. Or a phrase for some, I don't know, method. I'm like, I don't know what that method is, right? Throw it in that little app and like, oh, it tells me what it is. That's cool. It's okay that you guys don't know everything. But the goal here is, like Professor Spees is saying, it's quick. It's like boom, 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 boom. I'm not reading the whole paper here. I'm skimming to see if it might be a good thing and going on. I'm not spending 3 hours reading the whole paper and then deciding, no, this isn't my jam. I'm thinking, yes, high value target, save that. Next, boom, high value target, yes, low value target. Maybe there might be something in there that I have to read super close, but at this level of the first hunt, I'm going to consider that a rejection. I'm going to bail on that. Cool? Any other questions about that? All right, cool.